Welcome back to the Real Frame Reviews. I'm Scott, and today we have Marvel Studios' newest film, Black Panther. Black Panther is the next chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and takes place after the events of Captain America: Civil War. T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, has to take up the mantle after his father's death and become king of Wakanda. Following that, we see the trials and tribulations that he has to go through in the early stages as king. Let me just say, sitting in the theater today, I felt almost refreshed. I was amazed at the way that this film was able to sort of implant into people's minds social issues without actually shoving it down your throat. And that, to me, was really awesome. It also showed the abundance of talent that everybody has in this film, and it is awesome that I got to sit there and see that. It was great. This film is directed by Ryan Coogler, who also did Fruitvale Station and Creed, two really, really great films. And you know what? This film is not far off from those two, to be honest with you. However, it does struggle a bit at times tonally for me, and also sort of with the CG. There's a few gripes in there that I had with some of the computer graphics that just didn't fit for me. But first, this film at times looked wonderful. I think Rachel Morrison is a cinematographer who did Mudbound, and she is the first woman to ever be nominated for cinematographer at the Oscars this year. So seeing this film was excellent. There is a scene where Chadwick Boseman goes back to his ancestors, and it is just gorgeous with some dark purples and blues just surrounding them in shadow and light. It is phenomenally done. But then there's other times where it seems like there's too much CG forced in there and you can't really get a good feeling of the African continent. I wanted more feeling of that. And because it's such a large scale movie, a lot of that is done with the CG. The characters in this movie were absolutely phenomenal. From Danae Guerrera to Chadwick Boseman to Michael B. Jordan, who is a wonderful villain, to Letitia Wright, who plays a really great techie and younger sister, to Lupita Nyong'o, who plays a phenomenal spy and really tough woman. I feel like this movie has a lot going for it in just its characters alone. And I had such a great time just following through and just following these characters around. Andy Serkis adds a wonderful performance like he always does. And Martin Freeman even sneaks in there. Now, sometimes I didn't understand why he was there. And sort of sitting on the film a little bit longer, it's starting to make a little bit more sense. But still, I was kind of surprised to see him in there and him take as big of a role as he did. But with that said, there are some phenomenal scenes in which they get to really act. And I don't want to give those away because I want everyone to be fresh when they go into this movie. But, it is awesome. The directing touches that Ryan Coogler gives at times, Lupita Nyong'o not wearing shoes while driving, or Michael B. Jordan's choice of costume as, a Black Panther versus Chadwick Boseman's choice of costume as Black Panther is absolutely awesome. And the emotional scenes in this film, at times when he's on his game, will punch you in the gut. But there are other times where something big happens and a character is feeling pain or sorrow and you just don't feel it. And that happens a few times in the film, and I just sort of left like, I just need more of that, Not to mention with some of the aspects of the film where you have a really great scene, it's sort of dropped down because of the CG. Sometimes it looks like they took the little guys from the stands in a Madden game and just kind of plastered them out throughout the frame. And even in some of the fighting scenes, you could tell where they were doing practical and then switching to CG, and it actually was kind of distracting. But you know, it does bounce back, and it bounces back in a big way with Michael B. Jordan as Eric Warmonger, I believe it's called. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but man, he does a great job, and the music that mixes in with him, and then also how it's, African tribal drums here and African, singing music here. It sounds so great, and they do such a great job not to overdo it. But he leaves. He makes an incredible entrance, Michael B. Jordan does, and then you don't see him for the longest time. And so it gets kind of hairy. You don't really know who's supposed to be the main bad guy here. And that's why it gets a little bit, tonally, I don't know what I'm going for. And I believe that the way they put in social issues that we're facing today is a great credit to the writing, and they do it so subtly that it really fits in nicely to the actual story and the plot. But at times, you don't really know how far off the two main characters are in their view, and if they're both sort of put out there as these really bright characters, how can they not come together and be like, hey, I know you want to do it this way, I know you want to do it this way, but we're really smart people and we can do it this way. They kind of made Michael B. Jordan's character obviously a warmonger because that's his last name, but he's supposed to be this MIT grad and leader of so many different military branches. You think he'd be able to just sort of see the errors in his ways, maybe not, but that's what I was feeling, and it was tonally, I didn't understand. I'm not saying that's wrong, and I understand what they were going for, but at times it was kind of gray. But look, this film, you can't take away what a fun ride it is. It really is. It is a really great time. Although there are things that I didn't like, the character of Black Panther has sort of solidified its way into one of my favorite characters in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I really can't wait to see more of it. I can't wait to see more of Wakanda. I hope that we will be able to see a little bit more of the practical side of it, the practicality of his suit, and the surroundings, and that would be great. But look, Ryan Coogler again does a good job. He's had me thinking about this film throughout the entire day. And that's part of the process, is going through the film and sort of breaking down in your head, okay, I don't understand this, but is this why he's doing this? And just because I'm questioning all this stuff does not make it a bad movie. For me, this movie is a solid 3 out of 4 stars for me. And it actually started at a 2.5. But as I've been listening to more and more reviews and sort of thinking out loud in different ways as to what the underlying themes meant and what they were trying to go for, it's become apparent to me that it's more important and way bigger than I even thought. So with that said, I think that Black Panther does a really great job of becoming a superhero movie, but also bringing to light some issues that people need to hear about and people need to understand and open up about. So if you haven't seen it, please go out and see it. Black Panther, I can't wait to see the next film, the Infinity Wars. I think it's going to be fun and exciting. 3 out of 4 stars for me. Thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, comment, tweet at me, ScottNeamy2. Thanks.